This is the President McCormack Podcast with your host, Mark McCormack.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast today, Robbie Chidester. Thanks for coming on, Robbie.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Now, I'd like to ask some guests how they know me, so I'll ask you the same thing. How do you know me?
Yeah, you're my son-in-law. You're married to our only daughter, Michelle.
I know it's funny. So a lot of people ask me like who I'm going to have on and all this kind of stuff. And so the last week I've been telling people, I'm having my father-in-law on, and it's kind of a funny reaction from people, right? It's like, oh,
you want to do that?
Yeah, well, that's a risk. No.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's got a qualm. Best time ever to
I'll
bring it
soon
up.
find out.
Yeah. So I don't prep for these very much, as you can probably
cool.
tell. I like the organic conversation to kind of just happen.
Okay.
But I couldn't help myself. But I was on the driving down here. I was sitting there thinking, right? I'm like, what questions should I ask Robbie? And most of them, I'm like, what funny things can I ask? And kind of like, I mean, I've been a part of your family now for 19 years almost, and it's a long time, and I'm the only son-in-law, and so it's kind of an interesting position to be in. Yeah. So I think my first question is, what was your first impression of me as a 22-year-old boy?
I thought, back then you were actually a bit quiet. You've gotten a little bit more vocal now. That's probably a good thing. Yeah. But very kind of together, confident and nice, kind, considerate person, not a flippant teenager any longer. So that was kind of a good thing. And it seemed like you would be someone that would, be a good husband and father and that sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Looking back now, it's funny, right? I've joked with people about this over the years. It's like, dude, Michelle and I got married young.
Yeah.
Especially by today's standards,
Yeah.
She was 21.
Yeah.
And I was 22 when we got married. No. She was 20.
She was 20.
Yeah, she was 20. And then about 6 months later, we both turned 21 and 23. And it was, I don't know. It's like kind of crazy. It worked out.
Yeah.
I've had so many friends get divorced and, but I don't know.
I don't know. It's kind of a Utah thing. We get married a lot sooner here, but I don't know if that's good or bad. In a way, it's kind of good, because you just kind of can grow up together, and do a lot of stuff together. And instead of being out goofing around for, 10 years, just get married and get on with it. Yeah. So
I couldn't agree more. I feel like getting married young, I mean, it has some, if you pick the right, saving the right is kind of a hard thing to do, right? But if you pick a good partner and you do kind of learn together and move together in life, I think it makes life a lot easier. And now it's like, I mean, I can't even imagine my life without Michelle. It would be insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you get married at 35 or something like that, or 40, that's going to be hard. Because you've got your own personal habits individually that might not really sync together that well. And, I think that's going to be a lot more difficult, quite honestly. So,
So going back to a funny moment that you and I had together. Well, a funny moment / interesting moment is when I asked your daughter's hand.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that day much?
I do. Yeah, I remember chatting. Yeah.
Tell us a story from your perspective.
Well, just you came and asked if it was okay if you asked Michelle to marry you. Yeah. And so we kind of chatted about what your plans were, like, your immediate plans, where are you going to live, how are you going to like survive, and then long-term plans. You were in school at the time. What are you going to study? What do you want to be when you grow up? Kind of thing. Yeah. And
do you remember what I said?
Yeah, you were interested in law at that time, and some other things, but you were kind of not necessarily, locked in on any one of them. You were still somewhat early in that process, and still kind of discovering what you wanted to do. What did you get your degree in finally?
So I ended up being paralegal studies.
So
I think when I asked Michelle to marry me, when we had that conversation, I was studying accounting. So I think I was doing business management with an emphasis in accounting.
Oh, okay.
And then when I matriculated, I decided I'm like, okay, if I'm going to be an attorney, I need to commit to it. So then I changed it to paralegal studies.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Hindsight's 2020, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I think I probably shared my experience that I had with law degree attorneys, and how difficult it is to actually be a practicing attorney. There are just so many folks that get law degrees that they wind up doing other things, and that's okay. But, I think we probably chatted about that as well.
No, that was an interesting point, because I had that conversation with a lot of people. It's one of the major reasons I didn't do it.
Oh, okay.
I liked school a lot.
Yeah.
I was a good student. I got good grades.
Yeah.
Kind of once you go to law school, right? In my head at the time, you're locked in, right? Like, you got to go. You can take some loans out. You can, it's kind of your path. And so, but the more people I talked to about law, I was like, I know an attorney. He works at 7-Eleven now. It's like, what?
Yeah. I've had attorneys working for me. At Searcy Dynex, legal counsel. We had one individual that was our legal counsel that worked for me, and then we kind of ran up the contracts department under him, which was kind of a change. They had been separately. I think they were actually managed by sales at one time. Yeah. And I thought these guys were just guys, but all 5 of them had law degrees. I'm like, wow, okay. So I used them, whenever I had contracts that needed to be reviewed or other business kind of decisions, I would get their input and involve them and utilize them. I'm like, man, I've got this amazing resource, but it was a surprise. That was 6 attorneys in this team that all had law degrees.
Oh yeah. And now that I look at, I've got a couple of friends who are attorneys. I think you know that. And I talk to them a lot, and they don't generally enjoy their job. Some do, right?
Yeah.
A lot of them are transactional attorneys, which people don't know what that means. That just means that they alter documents all day, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of negotiation.
Yeah.
Basically changing a template all day. And I think, you do that for 7, 8, 9, 10, 14 years, and all of a sudden you're like, I am sick of doing this.
Yeah.
And so, but then it takes a totally different personality to litigate.
Yeah.
Which was actually what I was going to do. Litigation was kind of the.
Yeah.
I like Law and Order.
And that would be fun. Yeah.
So I do have a friend, and you know Aaron Hooper, right? He's a litigator now. He swapped from prosecution over to defense.
Oh, okay.
Up in Boise. And so,
okay.
Oh yeah, he's done a couple murder cases. He does all sorts of stuff, man. I love talking to him because it's just like, oh yeah, this dude, and I said this. And
very interesting stuff.
Yeah. But high stress though too.
Yeah.
A lot of stress. They take on, at least my friend Aaron, I think it's because he's got a good heart, but he takes his client's problems on.
Good. Cool.
Taking a murder on is kind of rough.
Yeah. I kind of my first distinction with attorneys is sometimes you'll have attorneys that are, they're not necessarily an advocate for you.
Yeah.
They just want to tell you what the law is and what your parameters are and kind of manage the whole legal process. But I like attorneys that are, in addition to that, they're going to fight for you. They're going to be your advocate. And that's the first distinction I kind of make. Okay, so what side are you on? And I enjoy working with the second group a lot more. Get a lot more done. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to get to be with guys you feel like are on your team.
Yeah. So,
which it's interesting too with all the attorneys out there. How often you actually do deal with attorneys?
Yeah,
I probably talk to an attorney a couple times a month, probably right now.
Yeah,
I'm not currently suing anyone.
Yeah,
no one screwed me recently.
Yeah.
So it's funny though. I was talking to a guy yesterday, and he was an investment. He invested into a restaurant. It was a bad investment to begin with.
Yeah.
Sunk about $300,000 into it, redoing the place and owning the property and blah, 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 blah. And his partner basically left and disappeared, and he has no money,
Left him holding it.
Yeah, he's just on the phone going ballistic. Like, I was on the phone with one of my in-house controller and him, and he's going ballistic about how I was going to sue this guy. And I'm like, stop. Just stop talking. Yeah. You're not going to sue this guy. Yeah. It's going to cost you $40,000, and he has no money.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a friend similar to that. He was in a restaurant business with his sister. Mm. And all of a sudden, one day he showed up, and they were moving stuff out of the restaurant. And she had canceled the lease on the restaurant. So, yeah, kind of reminded me of that story.
What's funny? I've actually crapped on restaurants as an investment for a long time.
Yeah.
And now I'm part owner in a bunch of them.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, Paul Kruger, right? One of my business partners. So he bought a company called By the Bucket.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a fast spaghetti company. Yeah. There's one here in Utah. Huh. We own 3 in Arizona. We're building 2 up here right now. One's in Saratoga Springs. Okay. And I can't remember if we figured out.
So they're pasta Italian?
Yeah, there's no sitting down. It's like spaghetti and meatballs.
Wow.
And so spaghetti and meatballs in America is the #1 most consumed meal. Yeah. So you come to Utah, where we love fast casual and we love family meals. And
when I go to an Italian restaurant, that's usually what I get.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah. You might like this stuff. Yeah. It's all right. But it's what I've learned is, and then with Aaron Wagner, I've invested in like 30 of his restaurants.
Oh, okay.
And 3 different brands, 10 of each. But there's a process with that, right? Like you need to buy them in groups of 10, basically. So you have the marketing power and the footprint. And
okay.
I think it's really difficult to get
critical
one
mass.
restaurant off the ground. Yeah. You got to. And actually, with those 30 restaurants, I think they have like another 120 planned. So they're like, they're going to do them in 30 tranches, but they're, it just doesn't make sense. You got to have the economies of scale to fly through them. But
what's his name? Greg Warnock out of Mercado. They've got a group that's all they're doing is restaurants.
Yeah.
I think they're doing it because it's a lot more fun than technology.
Now he doesn't. That's not the 4 Food Groups group, right?
I can't remember the name of his group. His restaurant group.
Do they own Neaters and R&R?
Well, I think they have they're either part owners or owners of Mobetta's.
Yeah, it's the 4 Food Groups.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he spoke to my men's group on Zoom one time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I haven't met him, but I know who he is.
Yeah, a long time. He's out of V Spring.
Yeah.
Been doing VC work forever.
And the stuff that I'm involved in is copying them,
Oh, okay.
And they know it. They're industry friends, I guess you'd call it, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but so they bought, the 4 Food Groups owns R&R, they bought Neaters. And Neaters is big. Neaters is in many states. I don't know if it's in half.
I didn't know they own Neaters. Wow. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, they bought Neaters a few years back.
Cool. Yeah.
But they just have, it's just that business plan, right? It's just like Every store has an ROI, and we do this.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. They're adding business practices to restaurant,
Yeah.
which isn't a bad idea. I would think that that's part of the challenge that restaurant owners have is they sometimes don't have a good business background. So if you can add that, you're going to take some of that risk out of that.
Yeah.
So
when I first invested with Wagner, he was on a Zoom call with all the investors, right? The kind of a pre-investment call.
Oh, okay.
And he was talking about the failure rate of restaurants, and he goes, this is the problem, right?
Yeah.
You have someone in your neighborhood, they make cupcakes, right? Everyone loves Sally's cupcakes, right? So then everyone tells Sally how great her cupcakes are.
Yeah.
So then she starts going, oh, maybe I'll go to a bake sale. Then she sells them at a bake sale, and everyone's giving her accolades, right? So then she mortgages her house, starts a cupcake place, gets a lease, gets, he lives for like he gets elbows deep, right? In this place, and people don't want to come and buy her cupcakes. Her cupcakes are just like anybody else's, but price point and availability to the store and all that kind of stuff. And then the thing goes bankrupt after 2 years and they lose their house, or they spend all their money on this crap, and it's all because she thought it was a great idea. But to your point, there's no plan.
Yeah,
there's no plan to open 2 stores. There's no footprint. There's no marketing. There's no And even with social media nowadays, everyone thinks that they can post, this cupcake was amazing, and that doesn't drive any traffic, doesn't drive any revenue to the bottom line.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. They're not really restaurants, but all the cookie companies that have sprung up kind of out of nowhere.
That's the biggest miss I've had in 10 years is not investing in that business, Crumble.
Yeah.
Crumble, I might be quoting these numbers way wrong, but I think they're up to 380 stores.
No kidding. Oh, my goodness.
$3.2 billion valuation.
And wow. I had no idea.
It is exploding. I think they open one like 2 a day or something like that.
So who's the funding behind Crumble?
I do not know that.
Funded that.
I know that some of their first initial stores, their cash on cash return was like 190%.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they sell. I doubt they self-funded because at some level you got to fund the growth. But
380 stores don't necessarily grow organically.
But the good thing with that though, so with like our spaghetti stores, right, by the bucket, we can have an odd build out, right? Because we only need a couple heating trays and a place for the garlic bread to get heated up. So our equipment costs are I think they're like $45,000.
Oh, okay.
Like our total build out generally on average is about $140,000, $120,000 to $140,000.
Yeah.
And we only need a small footprint too. So I don't need a 2,000 square foot restaurant with $400,000 worth of equipment.
So where's the one located in Utah? Where's that?
I think it's in Murray.
Oh, okay.
So when Paul bought it, he bought the entire franchise.
Okay.
And they had 27 stores in Arizona, all over the place.
Okay.
Then they had the one up here, and they had sold the rights to Utah to Paul. And then Paul kind of put more of a business plan behind it. It was like, well, hey, I'd rather just own the whole enchilada. So then he ended up buying the whole thing. Then we put a small group underneath there to start doing, quote unquote, store-owned stores or corporate-owned stores.
Okay.
And so our plan is basically it's the Crumble plan. We're just going to start marching them out.
Yeah.
So we raise.
I mean, Crumble isn't a franchise. They own the stores, right?
Oh, they franchise.
Oh, do they?
They might have some corporate stores.
Oh, okay. Huh.
In fact, so Wagner's group is Wags Cat Food Services. They have 40 or 50 Crumble stores.
Okay.
They're a franchise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's how you grow to 380 stores. Okay.
But still, doesn't it feel like Muffin Tops? Remember when Muffin Tops were like a thing, and then all of a sudden it wasn't?
Yeah. But cookies will go on forever. I hope.
They might.
I mean, those cookies are awesome.
They are.
It was weird though. We went to get some because that's what I got for your dad for his birthday was the pink. I just love pink sugar cookies, man. And
that's where Michelle gets it from.
And they were out of them. I'm like, what? Excuse me? I mean, we were at Wingers once, and they were out of wings. I mean, like, okay, job one is, I have no idea, but I would think their most popular seller is pink sugar cookies, but I don't know.
I'd imagine they're kind of doing that thing too. I don't know if it's monthly or if it's weekly, but they kind of have the new cookie of the
of the
whatever.
week. Yeah.
I actually saw an Instagram post because they've got some social media stuff. And it's,
Really?
It's a maple bacon cookie.
Oh, okay.
Which
wow.
I look at that and I'm just like, oh, I'd love to take that thing apart. It sounds so freaking good.
Yeah.
I haven't told you this yet, but I'm not eating candy or desserts for this full year.
Oh no!
So, which is why I get advertisements, right? The second you make some stupid rule in your life like that, right? You know.
Wow. But sugar.
Not sugar because you can't really escape it. I'm just not going to eat candy and I'm not going to eat dessert.
Yeah. Wow.
So like when I was at Disneyland last week, I had some popcorn.
Okay.
So I might be in like the
so if you went
area.
to Crumble and just bought some cookies for lunch, that's okay because it's not dessert,
yeah,
right?
it's just. I would be lying to myself if I did that. I think. But yeah. It's a judgment call. It's a judgment call.
Wow. Oh, cool. Yeah, I don't think I've had a client in the restaurant industry, so
have you not?
No. Very little about that industry. So, yeah.
Yeah. I just know they freaking kill it.
Yeah.
Almost like too, if you're out of pink cookies, it's like whip up a batch.
Yeah. I have
17 minutes out.
I have no idea what the challenge was.
It's kind of funny though. I mean, you look at Utah, right? So we had Cafe Rio was born here.
Yeah.
Right? Wild success.
Yeah.
Tons of imitators broke off from that.
Yeah.
We had Swig.
Yeah.
So that was another brilliant freaking idea.
Which is fizz and so
delicious.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
And it's I mean that's crazy, right? You're paying $6.50 for a soda.
Yeah.
And people line up for that stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And then we had the cookies born here.
Yeah. Yeah, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was Clint Betts, the Silicon Slopes guy.
Yeah.
And he was interviewing a technologist that has done a bunch of data businesses, and he made the statement, don't ever always take advantage of a crisis.
Yeah.
He said, you'd be amazed how many companies kind of grew out of a crisis, out of a downturn in the economy. And that's where I think Swig came from. She, a housewife down in St. George, needed some money, so she opened a drink outlet, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it took off, and she opened some more, and some more, and some more, and it was I think it was might have been during the 2008, 2009 downturn. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it's amazing where those companies come from.
Well, I heard that, didn't she open them up in like a snow shack? Like a little one person in a parking lot thing?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was just her. It was literally a one-man band, and it just took off, you know? So.
Well, you know another crazy story, right, is J-Dogs.
Yeah.
Like hot dogs.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's wildly successful. I've heard him, he spoke at.
But he's got the sauce, right? He's got the.
Yeah, he's got this sugary freaking barbecue sauce. That's Winger's thing too, right? Their whole sauce thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how these things work. So, Robbie, with you, one thing with you that's really cool is you've had a really fun career. Would you explain it that way?
I would, people ask me, what are you, what do you do? And my lead is typically somewhat humorous. I'm a recovering CPA.
Right.
I'm a licensed CPA, but I don't do income taxes. I do friends and family income tax preparation and hate every minute of it, right? I just, don't do that. And I don't do audits. What my group does, we actually help startup companies get funded and launched and help them kind of build their structure, their business model it out and model out the cash flow and help them raise the money when it needs to be raised. And, that's a lot more fun than doing income taxes, right? So what I'm doing right now is probably a lot more fun in my career than I've had, previously, quite honestly. I mean, I've been CFO and controller and all of those kind of things, but right now it's a lot more creativity and a lot more flexible and a lot more fun and dynamic and
when you're also kind of
interesting.
Speaking as you're an expert, right? So when these guys bring you into the company, I mean, it's more of a consultant with a heavy, accounting side, right? Yeah.
It's kind of like if you need 10 to 20 hours of brilliance, then you hire us, right? And we come in and do the work, as opposed to paying a $200,000 CFO full time, and half the time he's looking at his fantasy football league picks, So we scale kind of like from 0 to about 30 million. Once a company hits 30 million, then we become more expensive than a full-time individual, and it's better, and we'll actually help them recruit, and we'll help them interview and select and place someone. And then because we've been doing the work, we can transition to the full-time person like seamlessly, right? Yep. And it's not clean up on aisle 12. Things are clean, and the person can come in and be effective right away and just go to work, Yeah. So it's actually a really kind of cool service, but it's a lot of churn. I mean, quite honestly, when we start an engagement, part of our job, quite honestly, is to work ourselves out of a job. We want to grow the company to a point where they outgrow our services and we are off to the next one. Do
you guys ever take equity in these companies, or is it always?
We do. Yeah. We do. Yep. And, I'm about 50-50 now. At first I was 100% hits. All of those that we had taken equity in turned out really well. Yeah. Lately, the law of averages has kind of caught up with us. Yeah. But we will do that if it's one that we feel good about. Yep. We don't do it necessarily just to save them cash or necessarily help them when they're business modeling. If it's something we believe in, we'll do that. We'll take a portion of our fee in equity. Yeah. Never more than 50%. Yeah. So
So when you guys go to exit, do they have to buy their equity back, or do they normally get bought?
Well, it just depends what the exit is, right? Yeah. And we're just a shareholder, just like anybody else, Right. And so if it's a total buyout, then we get bought out. Had one do. They raised $10 million on like a $50 million valuation. And so we got a big check for that, and, but we're still shareholders. We're now diluted by 20%, but we're still in there, right? Until the company, either, goes out of business or exits. This one's doing well, so I think we'll have a good exit out of it.
Good.
So.
Do you still get excited about an exit, or?
What's that?
Do you still get excited for an exit, or is it still par for the course?
For me to exit, I am. I've got one of the individuals, consultants I've kind of outsourced some work to is interested in kind of buying me out and kind of taking it over. I'm trying to kind of work out the details for how that would look, because I kind of enjoy what I'm doing. And if anything, I'd be interested in functioning at even a little bit different level as a board advisor level. I've been on several boards for the companies I've worked with and worked for, and enjoyed that as well, and can add a lot of value doing that. And I wouldn't mind doing that, in retirement. I was reading somewhere you need to have 5 hobbies, one that you enjoy, one that makes you creative, one that increases your knowledge, and one that makes money. Can't remember what the 5th one was. So I wouldn't mind doing that as kind of a hobby that makes money, So
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I've kind of, obviously I'm a lot younger in my career, but, well, not a lot younger. Hell, I'm 41. But I've looked at retirement. I think when I was younger, we were kind of like fed this line where like when you retire, you're a gardener and you go on vacation.
Yeah.
And the more people I've met, the more hands I've shaken, the more I realize it's like, no, the dudes that are vibrant and kind of in like their 70s and 80s, they're still active in almost everything.
Yeah.
And so I'm probably like late 20s, early 30s. I trash the idea of ever retiring. 65 to me won't be any different than 55 or 75.
Yeah.
It's just, ride this into the
I mean, you can be retired and still have a lot of time for hobbies and family and other things, right? It doesn't mean you have to be in the office at 8:00 every morning.
Yeah, that's kind of my plan, right? Is to stop operating. Put some general managers in place and no, good for you. Have a closed door environment.
Yeah.
I kind of laugh when people are like, "Oh, I always have an open door," and I'm like thinking, "Oh, hell no." You'll learn.
Yeah, that's right.
You got to be efficient.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So kind of going back when you were, let's just say on your mission, right?
Oh, okay.
Did you do any college before your mission?
I did 1 semester.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so my real question, I guess, is when did you decide, before I pick and choose what age you were at, when did you decide that you were interested in accounting, CFO, that kind of world? Yeah.
So originally I attended University of Utah on a partial scholarship in fine arts.
Heck, I don't know that.
Yeah.
In what? What was your trade?
Well, just fine arts, drawing, fine arts. And I think there were 1,100 in our freshman class. And the first day of kind of orientation, the department head got up and said, "So just so you know, approximately 100 of you will actually get jobs in art when you graduate." And I think those opportunities have dramatically increased actually because of digitization and digital content. Now there's just tons and tons more opportunities. But that kind of stuck with me. And then I kind of went on an LDS mission and kind of got interested in the structure. Sweden was kind of a strict mission and had many structural aspects of a business, and quite honestly. Yeah. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool. I kind of enjoy this, And came back, and I had a friend that he was majoring in mechanical engineering and had taken some accounting classes. He says, I actually kind of like this. You might want to take this class with me. So I took this elementary accounting class with him. And next to like creative fine arts, my next topic that I enjoyed was actually mathematics. I always did really well in algebra and stuff like that, which was kind of weird. I think the art, a lot of that came from my mother. She was very kind of into creativity and art and kind of pushed me that way, I think.
Yeah.
So I took this accounting class and liked it, and saw that it was kind of the language of business, you know. It was kind of an important part of the business world, and just switched to accounting. Originally worked for KPMG, which is now part of the Final Four. Back then it was the Big Eight.
Oh, okay.
They were the fourth largest CPA firm in the world, and now they're the second largest out of the Big Four, the Final Four. What happened, they all merged with one another.
Yeah.
So the Big Eight became four. And that was big time. I mean, I think we had 78,000 CPAs working for KPMG then. Now it's like 200,000, you know.
Were you a CPA when you worked there?
I became a CPA. So,
yeah, right.
So the way it works is you have to pass the CPA exam, and then you have to work to get a CPA license. You have to work 2 years for another CPA.
Oh, okay.
So I worked for them.
The same rules today?
Yeah. You can be have a CPA certificate just by passing the exam. But if you want a state license, you have to have the CPA experience. Yeah. So I really enjoyed it. It was a lot different work culture back then than it is now. I actually stayed with them for like 6.5 years, but about the 4.5 year mark. And I can remember it because it was the day Michelle was born. It was during the busy season, and we scheduled her to be induced.
All right, nice.
So we go to the hospital, and Michelle's born like 11:30 in the morning, something like that. And then I get everything kind of taken care of and squared away, and I go back in the office. Got there like at 4:30. Within an hour, pretty much everyone else has left. And I was working on this audit. Back then you had these big, thick audit work files. And I thought, well, I'll get this ready and put it on the partner's desk. Then I can take the next day off and get Michelle and Nancy back, you know, and get on with life. And but there were like a list of like 3 or 4 documents that I needed from the client, but he was at home asleep. So I just kind of made a short list, put the work papers on partner's desk, left it like 4 a.m., you know,
right.
to go get some rest and take the next day off. And which I did, came back the following day, and the work papers were on my desk with a pissy note from the partner saying, "Don't ever put incomplete work papers on my desk." And that's kind of when I decided, you know, if you're going to be in a public accounting, you want to eventually become a partner. But if that's what a partner's like, I think I'm good. I think I'll probably go do something else. So within a couple of years, went to work for a client, and actually kind of glad I did that. And, you know, so yeah, that was my transition out of public accounting. It was very fun. I had a client that back in the, I don't know if you remember, were you around when the Gary Sheets, Christensen bombings, the Mark Hoffman bombings took place in Utah?
I wasn't alive.
Okay.
So I was born in
Not
81.
aware.
Was it like, was it mid-'80s? Was it? Oh, no, it was early 80s, right?
Yeah, it was the mid-'80s. It was like 86, 87, something like that.
I did watch the Murder Among the Mormons Netflix thing, so I'm very well. I know a lot about it, but like...
Anyway, so they were a client. CFS was a client, and one of their partnerships, they actually had 2 Cessna Citation jets.
Oh, cool.
And what they were doing was just buying up real estate properties. And back then you could get accelerated depreciation. So if you were a high net worth person, you could put in $100,000 and the next year get a $200,000 deduction, And then in 87, that accelerated depreciation got taken away. And within a year, that company flamed out completely. That was Gary Sheets' company. So the day of the bombings, we actually thought it was disgruntled investors. And I had to have my little Volkswagen Golf searched by a canine squad.
Oh, did you?
Because
they thought, put it in neutral.
they thought they were after us. Yeah. I'm like, could you start that for me? Yeah. Yeah. So, but, that was fun. I mean, I would get a call and, be at the executive airport at 9:00 in the morning and would jump on this jet and go do these acquisition audits.
Yeah.
All the way from, Atlanta and Charlotte to Los Angeles, and we'd do the audit during the day and fly at night and just kind of really fun.
So that'd be good. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah.
Wild time.
So I enjoyed it, and it was very challenging work, and it was prestigious, a big 8 accounting firm, but a lot of other aspects that weren't necessarily that desirable. So I switched out. So.
Are you see were you working at Cardwell when I
was
when I first got married?
Yeah.
Which was a oil and gas company, right?
Yeah. I had. That's when Circe Dynex. I went to work for them, help them kind of turn around the profitability and sell the company to a competitor, and then they moved the headquarters to Huntsville, Alabama, and I didn't want to move.
Thank you.
So I took a 6-month severance package out of them and kind of went out interviewing again. And that was in like 2005, 2006. Yeah. And the, job economy wasn't all that great. So kind of took a position with Cardwell, enjoyed it, but it really wasn't, what I wanted to do long term.
Yeah.
Spent, I think I was with them like a year and a half, and then had a friend that had a startup that had just raised $8.5 million on a Series A round, and part of the requirements is a full-time CFO. So says, do you want to come to work for us? And I actually had never worked for a startup, before, and thought, I want to get some startup experience. Yeah. So I went to work for them, So
did you like that?
I did. I mean, it was very challenging. Software technology is challenging. It's challenging. I mean, what these guys did is they had they had technology that would scan incoming emails and open them and open their attachments. And if they behaved maliciously, they would quarantine them in a virtual machine environment. Wow. So it didn't, it was gone, didn't touch anything, right? And so they were better than a filter, because filters are based upon stuff about, and you're filtering it out. Well, these guys were picking up stuff that was written last night over in the Soviet Union, Yeah. But, and we were originally selling that at like a $100 license with a maintenance, per mailbox. And after another round of funding and total of $12 million, the price point became $5 per mailbox per year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's what the market was willing to pay. So they finally sold to a kind of a competitor, and and kind of folded the company. What happened is about a year and a half into it, they said, "Yeah, you guys are burning through your cash," and this was a big VC group here in Utah. "You guys are burning through your cash, and you're not getting any traction. You need to figure it out, and while you figure it out, you need to go from 37 headcount down to 9 headcount." and one of those is not a CFO. So that's actually how I became a CFO consultant. They had used a consulting group before me, and I had actually interviewed with them. And he says, and they're like, the good news is they want to hire you to do our work and a bunch of other clients. So I went to work for them, and then 2009, right at the kind of the bottom of the recession, that group had about 13 consultants in it, and maybe enough work to keep 3 or 4 of us busy. But rather than do that, he was keeping 13 of us 10% busy. And finally he said, "Just read your contract, Robbie. You can't take any of my clients, but you can go get your own clients. So I'm sorry, I can't change the economy. So just knock yourself out." So I did. I created my own consulting group. One of the first major clients we got was actually a network marketing company. And in 2009 and 10, we raised $3.5 million through friends and family, and got that company off and running. That's ASEA. They're just down the street here.
Oh, okay.
They do electrolyzed salt water, and it's I think they're probably around 200 million now. Wow. Doing very well. But that I grew that for a couple of years when it finally became a full-time position there, and then stayed on as an advisor to the board, and eventually kind of phased out of that one, but brought in some other clients, and just took off from there. That was the emergence of CFO Advantage.
Nice. Now, one thing I got to ask you first, though, is you worked for one of the most interesting humans on the planet.
Yeah.
We skipped over him for a second, which is Hal Wing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So kind of tell me about your experience with Hal Wing, and I don't know if people know who that is, so maybe you want to introduce him.
Yeah, he's the founder of Little Giant Ladders. Back then it was called Wing Enterprises. And I am the record holder in the CFO position. I was the CFO for 10 and a half years.
Yeah.
After, when I left, I think I'd heard about 8 years later they were on their 4th or 5th CFO. Okay. He put a lot of pressure on the CFO. a lot of money management.
Did you feel that same pressure?
I did. I mean, just very difficult to retain enough cash in the business to grow it. And as you add additional family members, then that becomes even a bigger challenge. And, I mean, he was a bright guy. He kind of knew what he was doing, but that's just how he chose to run the business. Yeah. As a leader and a manager and a business operator, the guy was actually brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and that's how Wing Enterprises kind of survived all of those, those things.
And he blew that business up.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. In fact, the individual that came up with the idea of putting kind of the ladder demonstration on television, right, was the kind of the plant manager.
Oh, okay.
And he's now the CEO.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, they went from, when I left, they were at around, $21 million range, and they had started to struggle. They'd kind of started to lose some of their patents and had dipped down to about 17 million and did this televised campaign. And they went to $170 million,
Yeah,
like in a week. They came to work. It ran over the weekend. They came to work Monday, and everything was jammed. Their mailbox, their emails boxes were all full, and it just went crazy. And and the company, went crazy. I don't think they're at that run rate currently.
Yeah.
They kind of peaked and kind of have now leveled out.
Yeah, so they got a lot of competitors too, right?
Yeah, they have.
There's a few.
They have, and they've actually been copied. And
was Hal in the infomercial?
He was.
He was, right? It was him and like the
Yeah.
Al from Home Improvement, right?
Yeah. And
I remember seeing those as a kid, just like, what the heck?
And extremely well received.
Yeah.
And just, it went nuts. I mean, the mesmerizing attribute of that product has always been the demonstration.
Yeah.
And they, that's how they really got their start. He kind of abandoned going door to door and started going to trade shows.
Yeah.
And interesting guy. He found the ladder actually in Germany, and brought it to the U.S. Bought the rights for the U.S. and brought it to the U.S. And his wife's from Germany. He speaks fluent German. Spoke fluent German.
Did he serve a mission there or something? Is that why he spoke?
He was there in the military when he met his wife.
Oh.
Came back to the U.S., started selling life insurance for beneficial life. Went back there and just went crazy. He selling life insurance primarily to military individuals, because he's like, you're just renting right now, but if you want to build some value, some in an asset, and just affordable monthly payments over time, let me show you this whole life product. And he became the largest office in beneficial life. And while he was over there, met a engineer who had developed this folding telescoping ladder that the inner ladder was made out of wood, the outer ladder was made out of steel. It was heavy and kind of clunky, so he brought it to the U.S. and improved it, and got a bunch of patents on it, and the rest is history. But his background is in sales, but not ladder sales. Yeah. But he found they could go to trade shows and demo the ladder. I mean, his favorite story, he was at a trade show and no one was around. So, because he had this German background, he started yodeling, and all these people kind of crowd around. He does a demo of the ladder and sells like 10 ladders, in like 20 minutes. And he's like, wow, this is something, And that funded the company, because they would take in all of the credit card sales and promise a 4 to 6 week delivery. Yeah. So they would actually take that money, come home, build the ladders, and ship them out.
Ship them all out.
Yeah.
Oh, smart.
Yeah. So that's how it kind of got its start. And they just found that demo of the little ladder was kind of like the magic, So this plant manager says, well, I talked to this group that costs a couple $100,000 to put this new thing together, but what if we put the demo on television, and the rest is history, So
What's funny, my move at trade shows is I always buy high chews.
Oh, okay.
And I just throw them at people. I was at the Home Builders show in Vegas a couple weeks ago.
To chum them.
Yeah,
It's
no, I
called
just
chumming.
overhand throw, just bang it off their chest, or sometimes they catch it. You know, some people I'll just like hand toss them too, and it's funny. The engagement level is insane.
Yeah,
because they'll come over and be like, "Well, what do you guys actually do?" Then you get the whole thing.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. You just need to get them over there. Yeah,
I did it. I first did it at the National Charter Show National Charter Show Association show or whatever. And people just kept on walking past us, not even like looking at us. You know?
Yeah.
But I'm like, dude, I'm freaking 15 grand deep in this booth. So, hey, what are you doing today? You know?
Yeah.
And then so I put candy out, right? Like some people do. And I just picked them up and just started banging them off of people. And people just thought it was hilarious. And they just started coming over and talking to us. And my one sales guy's like, I don't know how you do it, man. It's brilliant. And I'm like, I don't know if it's brilliant. I just, I'm just not going to sit here for 9 hours and not talk to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. These guys originally, they had these war stories. They didn't have money to fly.
Yeah.
So they had these little love trucks. There were these mini Chevy trucks. They would load all the demo ladders in the back and, drive to Wisconsin, and just, he earned it. I mean, he absolutely earned it. But yeah.
Well, and I've always heard a story. I'm pretty sure you told me, but didn't he throw his golf clubs in the pond one time?
Well,
what's that story?
So I have a set of Ping I2s, which I'm just keeping because they're kind of collectible. The PGA outlawed them.
Oh, okay.
Because they have square grooves in the irons.
Oh, okay.
And so the PGA, no, you can't do that. Yeah. Okay, so we're not a good golfer.
I know the type.
He was not a good golfer, and we'd finished up. He had 2 memberships at Riverside, so we had finished up a round at Riverside, and he had just played horribly, and oftentimes, like around the 13th hole, he would just disappear, and you'd hear this screeching out in the parking lot, But he stuck this out and played all 18, and he says, "Do you want these clubs?" And I go, "Yeah, sure." He says, "Otherwise, I'm going to go throw them in the pond right over there."
Yeah, I'll take them.
Yeah. So that's how I got my Ping I2 clubs. And he would have hoisted those suckers in the pond.
Yeah.
Made someone push him out.
No, he's a funny dude.
Yeah, he was.
He passed away early, right? Didn't he?
Yeah, he's like 72.
Yeah, it's early.
And and that that was a motor. He was an extreme off-road motorcyclist. I went with him a couple of times, and I'm not bad, and he made me look like a clown.
Yeah.
He was really good.
I actually dropped your name with him one time.
Oh, really?
I was at a Jazz game because he always wore little tight shirts, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I was at a Jazz game.
Jack LaLanne look.
Yeah. And he was coming out of his suite.
Oh, okay.
Over to where the commoners were with us.
Yeah.
And he kind of like appeared in front of me, kind of like I'm going up the escalator, and he kind of came in.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, "You're Hal Wing, right?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah." And I put my hand out to shake his hand, and he kind of shook my hand, just kind of like a normal thing.
Yeah.
And I go, "Yeah, my father-in-law Robbie Chidester used to work for you." And he's like, "Oh yeah, you know Robbie?" I was like, "Yeah, he's my father-in-law." And he's like, "Great," and then bounced out of there, because he's on his way out. And I was like, "Yeah." So, but then it wasn't. How long has he been gone for?
Oh, it's probably been 8, 9, 10 years, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was right before he passed away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he was out motorcycle riding and had some accidents, and at 72, didn't recover. Had a couple of blood clots, and just flamed out.
So, what made you want to leave Wing Enterprises?
Just the opportunity, it was like a good opportunity. What made me stay, it was actually a very fun place to work, and his management style was, you just go do it, man. You got a huge rope, but just remember, when you hit the end of that rope, it will hurt, so don't mess up. Do it right. Don't mess up. And quality, a very quality product. Their thing was, if you want to buy the best, most expensive ladder in the world, we've got it. And they just, and that kind of quality notion survived, recessions, depressions, everything. People always buy quality. And so it was a fun place to work. But managing cash, I got that down. I'm ready to do some other things. And Searcy Dynex was about 10 times large international library software company, and technology driven, just a better opportunity and a lot. And 3 years into that, my income had actually doubled, so that was why. That was a big part of it.
When you left, did you have to train a new guy?
No, when I left Wing, they asked me if I wanted to, and I just didn't really have the time. So I didn't do that, we talked over the phone kind of thing. And that was that. Yeah. Yeah. But I wasn't there for the big run up. I missed the $170 million spike.
How soon after that happened?
That was probably 3 or 4 years after that happened, or maybe even longer.
Okay.
Quite a bit after.
Did it surprise you?
Yeah, it was kind of cool. I mean, they were struggling, they were kind of on the ropes. Yeah. On the build side, they've done a lot of things. It's now assembled in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
It's not necessarily made in the U.S. They've gone offshore to stay, competitive with their ladders and their pricing. Back then, we were not competitive with our pricing. It was just like, okay.
You want quality buy.
Yeah. And it's changed quite a bit, and they've had to do that. But I don't really. I kind of have a pretty good relationship with Art Wing. He's the president of sales over there. He's the oldest son. Okay. He and I are really good friends. So I chat with him once in a while, but don't really see those guys. They just kind of do their own thing.
Yeah. I think the company's kind of stable now with Wing.
It is, yeah. Very much.
I'm going to say they're in big boxes, it seems like, right? Like Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart probably. Yeah. I mean, they still do the trade show thing, but trade shows, I don't know for sure, but I think trade shows aren't necessarily what they used to be, I don't think they're... I hate trade shows.
That used to be about a third of their sales, and just amazing margins and amazing cash flow, I mean, spring and fall were just heavenly, because we had all this money sitting in the bank, Yeah,
so. I don't know. I've been through a bunch of trade shows. It was kind of funny. My dad was like anti-trade show.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
He tells a story about how the competitors would come and steal his brochures at night and then change the
Well, good. Right. And free advertising. Oh, the competitors would.
Competitors would, yeah.
Oh, okay. And,
the thing that's funny, like, so in my basketball business, right, in the athletic equipment business, all the hoops are the same.
Yeah.
All the same.
Okay.
They with C-channel, they're all pretty much welded the same.
Yeah.
They've been so standardized, but everyone's custom, right? So whatever building we're bidding, right, you got to whatever the ceiling is, you got to bid
Yeah.
it, and it's all custom, and so the pricing's different, but like the designs are all pretty much the same. And it's funny, I've over the last probably 10 years, every time I get in a situation where I've got an architect that's like, well, tell us what's different about yours. You know, then they have the one guy stand up, he starts yapping about some weld or some bull crap, basically, right?
Well, the Costco ones, aren't they thicker? Supposedly.
Oh, those poor outdoor ones?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't even do those ones. Let Lifetime go bananas on that cheap crap. Yeah. No.
Okay.
We have an outdoor unit. Ours is just expensive. It's like probably $3,500.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
But if you hit your car with it, your car loses.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
It's a different jam.
Different deal.
But yeah, but it was funny when they would come to me and they'd be like, "All right, you know, ADP Lemco, let's hear your thing." And I'm like, "We're all the same.
Yeah.
It's all the same." I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, they bend their one bracket different than we do, and we hard weld it.
Okay.
You know, it's like whatever. And I think I kind of like how the market's changed now, because I think people are sick of the sales pitch.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're just sick of like, well, ours is, you know, 0.01% different than this other guy's.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like selling flour to people.
Yeah.
Flour's flour.
Yeah.
And so we just have to go out there and perform. I mean, that's really what ADP Lemco does. We perform. We never really miss dates. We just go take care of stuff. If you design it wrong, we'll correct you.
Yeah.
Which gets us in a little bit of hot trouble. I don't know if you've ever worked with an architect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to be told that they drew something wrong.
Yeah.
But when it comes to trade shows, so then you go to these trade shows, right? And it's like you got your competitors there, and people are walking around, and I don't know. It's just kind of funny going to each one of these booths. You know, there's a lot of like guys that just sit there, they plop down all day, hand a brochure out, and I'm like, I don't think business is done like this anymore. It's just not. Yeah. People want to be interactive. They want to like talk to a person and make sure that what they're buying is what they want.
Yeah. Plus, I think the internet availability of information is probably, you don't really have to go to a trade show anymore.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And you have YouTube, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to see something in motion, just watch the video we made.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that Wing Enterprises, let's put the demo, same demo. Let's bring in a celebrity and put it on television. Yeah. You know? I mean, okay. The
funny thing about that too is it's like with Al, I can't remember his actual name, but Al from Home Depot.
Yeah, the tool guy.
Yeah, he was not he's not that dynamic, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
But
which plays really good with
But he captures you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, why is this dude on here? Oh yeah, the guy from Tool Time, but I know it's a fictional character. But Bergman, I think is his last name, right? Mark Bergman? Damn.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Anyways, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of funny to like over the career. Like, you know, your career, I mean, you know, you've been doing this 40 years?
Yeah.
40 years, right? So it's, you've seen a lot of stuff change.
Yeah.
You know, I interviewed my grandma who turns 90 in April, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny listening to her. I mean, when she grew up, she was on dirt roads and rode a bike everywhere.
Yeah.
You know? For her to pump out 4 miles to the place she wanted to go was nothing.
Yeah.
And, you know, now I look at the way business is now, and even in my short, you know, 25-year career or whatever, it's interesting to look and see how things have like really, really changed.
Yeah.
You know, we 3D model everything.
Yeah.
So an architect, they work in a program called Rivet. And so they can just move a 3D model around. So if you got an HVAC system that's hitting into something, you know, an alarm goes off. Yeah. And they move it around. And, you know, I look at my dad and some of our old files, they used to freaking write a memo, pull a white sheet, a yellow sheet, a pink sheet for the file, mail it off. Yeah. And that had information that they had to have. And it's just like, I can't even imagine not having email. Yeah. We still have contractors that take faxes.
Yeah, CAD CAM.
We're still faxing stuff. This is insane.
I don't even have a fax number anymore. You know, I'm like, you're still faxing stuff? What in the world?
See, we do, and but we have that program you were talking about a little bit. We just have they fax a number, but it comes in through an email. Yeah,
e-fax. Yeah.
Yeah, or e-fax. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's funny, man. You got these old school people. Yeah. Construction's finally caught up, though. I think a lot of, you know, we got the 45 and under crew are starting to take management positions now. Yeah. And they're just not going to pull the typewriter out and write a memo.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if there's anything I regret, I wasn't born 40 years later. Right. I mean, the Utah economy and the overall economy, the emergence of entrepreneurship. I mean, entrepreneurship wasn't even a topic when I was in college.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I think it was a word.
Right.
I'm not sure because I didn't really ever hear it. Now it's a thing. And that's partly why it's easier to be an entrepreneur, because our culture and society is kind of now progressed to that. So
no, you're right. I mean, there's entrepreneurship.
Lot more tools are available. Everything.
Well, even degrees, right? There's an entrepreneurship degree.
Yeah.
Don't know what's in that degree. But
I don't either. I only need some.
It better be an accounting degree dressed up as an entrepreneurship degree. But.
Yeah, you better have some skills in there somewhere.
I'll tell you though, it's I underwrite a lot of businesses, right?
Yeah.
And I've acquired a lot of businesses because they owed me money. Put it that way. And when you start diving into like how they actually run business, it's mind-boggling. It's just like I remember one guy. I'm like, I need to see your P&L, right? And he owed me a lot of money. I was pissed, right? Flew to Texas, sitting in his office. He opens up an Excel spreadsheet on his email or on his desktop.
Yeah.
And it's his P&L and his balance sheet, and it's a time period of 4 years.
Oh,
just
wow.
a big freaking list.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like looking at this, like, what is this? And he's like, well, right here's, Mark, blah, blah, blah. So I was going through all this stuff, and I'm like,
cash flow statement.
Paid?
Yeah.
Like, it's paid. And I'm like, well, delete it. Like, what the hell? And then like I come back to, because I've got a CPA and a controller that are in-house for me, right?
Yeah.
And I just come back and I just sit in my office like, you guys make me do this stuff so by the book all the time. And every company I talk to, it's like just, I don't know.
Yeah.
What's an invoice?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's bananas.
Yeah. It's surprising. It's, yeah.
But I'm almost to the point where I need to see my employees and have a relationship with them at some level of frequency. But outside of that, I can pretty much run the business on my phone.
Yeah.
Between email and we use QuickBooks Enterprise for all my businesses.
Oh, okay.
Mostly because I looked at Salesforce and I was like, I'm not paying that. And QuickBooks was like, hey, we got basically the exact same thing. We just have it all in house. So
well, does Salesforce have an accounting module?
No, you got to like plug everything in. Well, I can't really speak. It's been I made that choice like 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean,
Salesforce. It was kind of like, well, I got to pay you for the spine, and then I got to pay all these subscriptions to get all the actual things that work. Yeah. Have you ever worked in Salesforce?
I have. Yeah. And there's what's the one out of Utah?
Is it Peachtree?
No, there's a Salesforce competitor out of Utah. And
Proofpoint? No.
Can't
I know who
think
you're talking about.
Yep.
Observe Point? No. I'll stop guessing.
Yeah, I can't think of his name. Yeah. It's a good CRM tool, but it's not an accounting package, right? So they're two different things. But yeah, enterprise, you can run a fairly large company on QuickBooks Enterprise. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think about 100 million in rev is when you probably need to move over to like an Oracle or something else.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Well, hey, let's switch gears for a second outside the business world. Let's get back to our family a little bit.
Okay.
What was it like raising kids for you? When you look back on those memories, what do you remember? Because you had 3 boys and 1 daughter.
Yeah.
She was a little bit of a pain as a teenager.
Yeah.
Or do you even see it that way? I tease her.
Yeah. It was rewarding, and it certainly had its super amazing points, but it was difficult. It was heavy lifting oftentimes, at least for me. Maybe I'm just not a natural parent. So it was something you got better at as time went on. Yeah. I'm the youngest in my family, so by the time I came around, my mom was just kind of like, fine, you don't want to practice piano, we'll stop piano lessons.
Yeah.
Done. So, that kind of strikes me, but it was, it was a blast. It was very rewarding and fun. And, I enjoy being a father, a grandfather.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Is it funner being a grandfather or is it funner being a father?
It's more fun being a grandfather. You get to kind of goof around and do whatever you want to do with zero accountability.
Right.
Which probably doesn't work that well with parenting.
Yeah. You also got to go over the edge a couple of times too, right? Just be like,
unless you're John, who's the golfer?
Oh, Daly?
Daly. Yeah. Unless you're John Daly, you probably have some accountability. So it's a blast. It really is fun.
Yeah.
Because you just kind of get to goof around, and if you, if anything, when I forget that, that's when it doesn't go so well.
Yeah.
As long as you remember that, things go actually extremely well in grandparenting. So,
well, I tell you, I gotta do this without getting emotional, but I want to thank you.
Oh, good, thank you. Yeah.
I mean, your daughter obviously is my favorite person in the world.
Oh, good, and, good. I was going to ask you if that's not the case. We need to talk about that.
No, it's absolutely the case. Yeah. I don't think anyone in my life thinks differently.
Yeah.
She was raised in an awesome home. Yeah. She learned awesome things. She always talks about working for you like 16 years old and learning those skills. And she's still real good.
Yeah.
And a lot of the way she is because of the way, you and Nancy raised her. And
cool.
Yeah, it's been it's been a fun ride with her.
Yeah. Yeah, Michelle, the one attribute I always remember about her, she's the type of person that if you have some free time, you have a block of free time, you can either fill it with really good stuff, that's constructive and moves the needle forward, or you can just go watch TV, And she always, she's very kind of self-driven to do the first.
Yeah.
Fill it with things that are positive and productive, and improve things and make things better. Don't waste that time.
Yeah.
She's always been that way.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
I agree 100%. In fact, I've argued with her before where it's like, I'm like, she never stops. It's funny you said that. I feel like I coached you to say that because I see that in her all the time. And I didn't really come from a watching TV family per se, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But like in our home now, I mean, we never watch TV.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of lie to people that we're like, we like watching Yellowstone. It's like, we don't watch Yellowstone. I don't think I've watched a full football game in like 5 or 6 years.
Oh dear.
So,
no, you got to watch those. That's not really TV.
I can't do it at home though because I got the kid. The kids don't care. That's the thing. My kids could care less about football, and so I don't know. It's such a nice. It's just nice being around Michelle. Everyone loves her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's very, very likable, lovable. Yeah. No, you did well. You married up.
Oh yeah. No, she makes me better. She's a perfect life partner. And
Cool.
And, you know, everyone's like, she's everything I'm not and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know. I think her and I are actually really similar now.
Yeah.
I'm probably taking on more traits from her than she's taking on from me. But
Yeah. Well, and you guys are doing a good job. I mean, your kids are good, respectful kids. They're kind,
good.
you know, and still they, they're motivated and want to learn and do things. And you've done, you're doing a very good job with that. They're fun. They're a blast.
We actually try really hard.
Yeah.
If you want to know the truth.
It takes work. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really nice to see that. I also kind of see that too, the way that people interact with them,
Yeah. So what was your favorite time in Florida?
My favorite thing, just taking them on rides.
Yeah.
They just love that stuff.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Sitting in lines and doing all the stuff. I try to pretend that it doesn't cost any money to be there and all that kind of stuff. Not that I'm hung up on that per se, but, it's like, every time I go to buy some water or something, and maybe a treat or two, I'm $65 in. And it's just like, oh, this place, But like, it was really, actually one kind of a special moment. I'll tell you about it. I haven't told many people this, but we waited in line for the Avatar ride for like 2 hours. Right.
Yeah.
Which honestly,
is that the one you were too tall?
Yeah, it's the one I got kicked off.
Okay.
Of. Yeah. And so you sit in this little thing and they kind of pull you up. It's like soaring over California, right?
Okay.
And they kind of go around and have all this stuff, which is my favorite ride.
Yeah, that'd be a blast.
I love that when they spread the stuff in your face. It's interactive, right? This whole thing. And so.
And smell the oranges. And
Yeah. So I'm trying to jam my legs in this thing. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's like you're sitting on a motorcycle.
Oh, okay.
And so the thing only comes to here, but my quads are just too big.
Yeah.
And I can't get my feet in. And I'm like, I'm not that big, but I guess I am.
Yeah.
So, the 16-year-old says I can't ride, which I want to just argue to death with, right? Like, just hit the button,
Yeah.
Like, we'll be good. And so I'm sitting out there in the hallway, and I'm like, I'm not fuming mad because it's just like, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to get mad about this, but I'm like, starting to feel like this overwhelming, like disappointed, right? I'm like, no, this ride would have been cool. I waited for 2 hours. At least my kids are enjoying it.
Yeah.
And every one of my kids came out. And they were like hugging me, and they were just like, "Dad, I'm so sorry. You would have loved that ride."
Yeah.
They would tell me about it. They're like, "I don't want to tell you, Dad. Like it's, Nixon, of course, right? He's just like, "Oh, it was amazing," but and I'm just like, "No, guys, listen. This is the moment. Like, just tell me about it. Like, what was it about?" And it was really nice for me to like have my kids like be really concerned about how I felt about something.
Yeah.
And so that was probably the special moment there where I felt connected to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, good. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about, quite honestly.
Yeah. And we kind of do this thing right now, like with my men's group and even me just in general. I'm trying to live very present. There's people who worry about the past, which is worthless.
Yeah.
It's a waste.
Yeah.
And there's people that worry about the future. And that's also generally a waste because there's this. We read that someone gave a speech or something like that, like only 5% of what you worry about in the future actually ever comes to fruition.
Yeah.
So stay present.
Yeah.
And another thing with being present that I've kind of realized there's no evidence, this is the book of Mark talking, but I think the more present you are, the more vivid your memories will be from what you do.
Yeah.
And so in 5 years, if I'm on my phone answering emails the whole time I'm in Disneyland, I'm not really remembering the day.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually robbing myself of the joy of the memories that I can actually think about, down the road. So there's my takeaway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we were on vacation in Hawaii, and there was looked like maybe a single mom with her son, her daughter actually, sitting in the table next to us at this restaurant. And they were just like on their phones, and I'm like, wow, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to go to Hawaii so I can sit in a restaurant and cruise my phone.
Yeah, cruise Instagram.
Yeah, well, good. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah. It doesn't. Worry doesn't really improve things. Worrying about what's happened, what's going to happen, doesn't really improve things. Just deal with the present. Yeah. It's kind of a corny, kind of a corny saying, but I like it. Strategy is king, but execution is King Kong. You know.
Also, friggin' agree with that.
Yes. Yeah. Everyone has the same goals, same aspirations, but it all comes down to what are your habits? What are you doing every day? Yeah. What are you doing today? And that's what's important. So, yeah, good for you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you, and thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, sure.
So we've got my favorite moment where I ask everyone for their best 2 minutes of advice.
Okay. Yeah.
It could be 30 seconds or 10 minutes. It's up to you. I just call it 2 minutes of advice.
Okay.
Your best tip.
Let's see. What would be my best advice? I don't know. I'm kind of lately been more of a fan of the importance of relationships and kindness. Prior to that, I was kind of a numbers guy, just churn them and burn them, and let's just get it done. Cherish relationships. They're actually the most important thing you have, Our relationships you have with your family, with your spouse, with your friends, with people you work with, And even if they don't seem all that interested and engaged, that's okay. They'll come around, and that's probably what I've been learning most recently is the importance and power of relationships and relationship building. And in a way, that's kind of what we're here to do. That's what it's all about. Yeah. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Something weird happened to me when I turned 40.
Yeah.
Where I was like, I'm going to die one day.
Yeah.
And exactly what you said, I just think it's just all about the relationships and moments and live your life.
Yeah.
So, well, my friend.
Yeah.
I said it differently. Well, my father-in-law. Yeah. Thank you, Robbie. Honestly.
Yeah, we can be friends. Yeah.
Oh, we're definitely friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the President McCormack Podcast, brought to you by McCormack Foundation, Saxton Fund, ADP Lemco, and Professional Floor Systems. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and keep up with Mark on Instagram @President McCormack.